Okay. Okay.
Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Croncus Academy JC, Croncus Academy Bristol, and Craig's Crown Town JC. We got a special panel for you today. And my co-host, let me introduce himself. Boom.
Am I Fields? Am I your barber? Marion, Virginia.
Man, today we're going to spread some love the Crown Cuts way. The only way we know how to do it is the JC way.
Okay.
We got a big panel on board. We're going to talk about some important things.
Okay.
We get down. We're going to talk about financial aid. We're going to talk about making payments, taking out loans, all these things that we have. Financial aid officer, Miss D, nice, and we have a compliance officer. We have some big people in the room today. What you think about this episode, Emma? What do you think?
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what everybody got to say. I'm excited to hear, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We got a big panel, and thanks to our numerous fans out there, we're in over 70 countries across the world. Top 25 podcasts in the United States. Feed spot. Thank you for the shout out as always. Hey, again, Lathan, appreciate what you do. Sponsored Colossal Brand. We're gonna kick it off. Everybody introduce themselves. Mr. Start and tell me your title. Start, Mister. Go ahead. Talk about what you do.
My name is Matthew Bennett. I am the compliance officer over at Crown Cuts Academy in Bristol, and basically I just do like annual reports, things like that, to make sure the school, meets their quota of what they need to continue to run, stuff like that.
That's awesome. First off, you said the JC way. We're repping the Bristol.
Oh yeah. Sorry
You
about
can't
that.
leave us out,
Yes.
Craig. Yes, my name is Barber. I am the administrative coordinator of the Crown Cuts Academy Bristol. We're the newest of the Crown family, but in my opinion, we're the best of the Crown Cuts family. My opinion. Why? Because we got Ami over there.
Okay.
But also what I do, just basically a little bit of everything, help the school run smoothly. And yeah, excited to be on today, Craig.
Oh my gosh. My name is Mandy Norwood. I am basically just a secretary. I do day-to-day stuff. I help Dana and Byron. I'm the glue, if you guys want to call me that. I'm just kidding.
We agree.
Miss Dana in the corner, she's smiling. She don't want to get on camera. I don't know why, but she's gonna talk about what she does. She's one of the most intricate person in the building. The building cannot move without Dana.
Yes, left Miss Dana Cash. A little bit of a throat issue today, so she won't be talking. But she is the financial aid advisor, director at the school, and she is the glue, along with Kinsey. And without affectionately known as Mama D, we won't run as smoothly as we do.
The person who sends the fastest memes out there. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna talk about financial aid. We're gonna talk about the process of going to school, applying for a loan, whether it be Pell Grant, all of those that you apply for during school. Why should you not take out loans? Why should you after you get your financial aid packet? And talk about the benefits of going to a school that's accredited, and also talk about because both Crown Cuts Academy Bristol and Crown Cuts Academy JC, two different financial situations. In Johnson City, we have where you pay as you go. We have a relationship with a bank where we do financial aid through the bank. We do in-house financing, 0%. We also offer the GI Bill. We offer vocational rehab and a couple other loans out there that's beneficial for you. But at Bristol, we have Mr. B. Talk about the financial package at Bristol.
Yes, so in the Crown Cuts Academy Bristol, we're an accredited school, which allows us to get financial aid. We get the federal Pell Grant, we get the direct subsidized loan and the direct unsubsidized loan. The beauty about that is most students, they take out loans to go to a 4-year school. And traditionally, it looks like most students graduate with about $30,000 in student debt going to 4-year school. And that's average. If you go those bigger degrees, you get bigger debt. The cool thing about what we have over at Crown Cuts Academy Bristol is you can graduate within a year and a half with less than half the debt and the same income potential in the field. So it's a very unique offer. We think it's very valuable for anyone that wants to put their career first coming out of high school, maybe even college or even a career shift. So we have a pretty cool program. We run a pretty cool school, and we're excited about all the years to come.
Miss Cass, did we miss out anything? I know you got your pen and pad right there. Byron, you're blocking Dana. She can't be seen on. Dana, put that pen in your hand and let us know. So, so Matt, think about financial aid. What do you think? What do you think are some of the benefits of financial aid for students moving forward?
Well, I mean, you get your school paid for. You know what I mean? Can't beat that. Um, Also, there's no loan you have to pay back as long as you go to school and you finish and you get your requirements and meet all of your, you know, meet all of your recommendations, basically.
Well, I think we do have to pay back some loans. Loans that you have to pay, and how is that set up? See what, Danny? You see why we need you? Yes. Yeah, you see why we need you?
Yep. So one of them, the unsub, I know Dana knows this better than I do, but the unsub is a deferred payment plan, right? Perfect. So subsidized loans, you have a 6-month grace period before you have to start paying interest on that. And the unsub, you pay interest on immediately. So traditionally, if people want to be careful about that, you suggest the sub first. And if they need the extra money, then you suggest the unsub. But if they do Pell, then they don't have to pay anything back.
Right.
Sorry,
Great.
that's not me.
So am I listening to these experts speak about this thing? We haven't gotten to the meat of what we talking about. What comes to your mind?
First of all, I'm intimidated. They're so smart, and then the passion of what they do. And I done seen Matt. That's the first time I heard. What was it? What was your title again?
The compliance.
That's intimidating. I didn't know he's in there. I'm talking to Matt different. Yes, sir. I'm here to work. So, yeah, but it's cool, man. Spending someone else's money, that's always great.
That is.
Got a question for you.
Yes.
How many of your listeners are people that are looking to start school?
We have so many. I mean, like I said, we're in 70 different countries. Being the top 25 podcast in the country and the world in Barber content.
Wow.
So many people out there just trying to find information, trying to decipher what is the best plan for them.
Yes.
So the importance of this podcast today is letting students see that there is a way for you to go to school, but you also have to be in your P's and Q's
Yes.
and think about when you take out loans, because there's a misconception out there that I've heard a lot of students say that Joe Biden is going to forgive all student loans.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. Then the tooth fairy comes when you lose, and then you know what I'm saying, every year there's a bunny come around, give you chocolate. You know, we don't know what's gonna happen. If it does happen, it's great, but realistically, no, it ain't gonna happen. So you're gonna have to find a way to finance your future. Is what we're looking at, and that's what we're offering here. And like Byron said, this is the best return, the cheapest and best return you can get on any education. You know, aside from the obvious ones, but yeah, I mean, it's the way to go.
So for students out there looking to get into school, when they're thinking about, like, I'm signing up for cosmetology, barber, nail, aesthetics, massage, what's their first? What should their mindset be, Byron?
Well, I can tell you this, Greg. I can tell you what separates the students that succeed at school versus the ones that struggle.
Right.
The ones that are there because they want to be there.
Mhm.
The ones that are excited about being the best in what they're doing. The ones that are excited about learning. Some people, they as if, oh, this is just something I'm going to try.
Mhm.
Usually if they're a trier, they don't finish. They run into issues, especially when you're dealing credit at school. Because we get financial aids, we have a tighter ship we have to run, which means the students need to, follow those guidelines. And when they don't, there's penalizing that. And the ones that succeed are the ones that are excited about their careers and they're not just doing time.
Right. So the importance, like Matt. So let's break it down. There's NACAS. In our case, in Virginia, there's Chev, and then DPOR, and then
DOE.
DOE.
Yep. There we go.
So that's why we need Ms. Dan. So let's start again. Is DOE above NACAS?
Mhm.
So DOE, Department of Education, then NACAS, which is Matt, and which follows the laws to go to DOE, and then
Chefs.
Double chef.
and then DPOR.
So this is the governing body of cosmetologists and barbers and any kind of skill in Virginia, right?
Governing body of schools, governing body of businesses, governing body of cosmetology and barbering board, all of them with their own regulations that students have to follow.
Right. So what is the importance of NACAS, Matt?
Well, I mean, basically, they're the ones that give us our regulations and rules of what we need to abide by. And as long as we have all that, we'll be accredited and be able to run a Smooth school.
Because most people perception, their thought process is you just walk into the school one day and that's it. But there's so many underlying things to make the ship go forward, and and there's a lot of things that they don't see behind the scenes that happen to keep them in tow. So, what would be the best advice? And I ask it for you, Dan, just write it down. What would be the best advice you would tell someone trying to come into school looking for accredited or non-accredited school? Well, go ahead.
I would tell someone if they're going to an accredited school, go to the school and be excited about following the rules as if they were to go to a college,
Right,
right? Because schools that aren't accredited, they have their own rules, but they can bend them if the owner wants to.
right.
Schools that are accredited, our ability to follow those rules would allow us to continue to get financial aid
Yes,
so we aren't bending it for you.
and you can bend the rules within a limit because there's still sanctions and I's you have to dot, T's you have to cross for unaccredited schools. It's a little more flexible, and one of the things from seeing being in the middle of both sides, the accredited, unaccredited, one thing I see is with unaccredited schools, even though you work hard and you struggle to pay it during the time, by the time you finish, you can't take the test until you've paid up. But just struggling to pay that and knocking it out, it leaves you scot free after that. You walking with nothing over your head.
Mm.
And I understand everybody can be in this situation, but if you can just invest in yourself, I'm not going to call it a sacrifice. I'm not even a struggle. Just invest in yourself for that 8 to 10 months. There could be a lot of positive out of that too as well. What do you think, Ms. Dana? Write it down. Everybody, this is Dana. She's the brain trust of the Academy. You have any questions, you call to Bristol. She will be right on point and get you where you need to be. She's not talking today, but she has plenty to say. Trust me. The fastest memer. Is that even a term, memer?
You just created it. Was it the verb of memeing? The act of memeing.
I mean,
Creating a meme.
try it. I'm slow.
At the
Slow
website, we got Craig's Dictionary Webster anymore. I think that, like, once I look in, I've been reading this book called Skin in the Game. And I assume have you started yet?
Started.
Okay, word. So, like, for me, I think about the unaccredited school, how I think students will be way more invested in that because they know they have to pay out of pocket, and it's pretty obvious. But also, it's such a blessing to have an accredited school because not many people have that money right off, and it's not limiting them to having a chance to get it, which there is skin in the game long term with that. But if you're not a person that can perceive long-term things, then you're going to fail. You just take it for granted. So, I mean, I think that there's pros and cons to both of them, and either way, you're still allowing and providing a service for people to get their license.
And just like a normal college, Barber school, college school, all those are just like ETSU and any state school. Because you go when you start the process, you meet a financial aid officer, you talk to her, him, they give you the lowdown, and what's the next step after that? You walk into the school trying to get financial aid.
You got to apply to the school.
Mhm.
You got to get in. You got to get the financial aid. They'll get a plan that works for you. Set up a payment plan for what you owe outside of that, and you have to abide by those rules, or you're out on your ear.
First, you got to call McKinsey. She got to point you in the right direction.
Right.
And I can tell you what, man, the coolest thing about having the school is building a team, right?
Right.
Building a team of people.
Which we have, right? Great team. Wonderful team.
Yes.
Squad.
McKinsey and Matt are the newest additions to the team, but their enthusiasm to learn has been really, really uplifting for us.
Right. I love that. So you go into the school, you get to the office, and you sit down with the financial aid officer, and then what's next?
For our school in Bristol,
Any accredited school, what's the next process? What is the best form of action from a student starting? They doing the research online. They want to get to the school. Now they got to the school. They're in the waiting room, and then what should be on their mind? What should they come with? What should they bring to make this transition a little bit smoother and easier?
well, what we find is people that what they don't have is they don't follow the instructions we give them to make sure they get enrolled, right? You come and you talk to the financial aid officer, and she gives you a plan on what you could and can't do, and they go out and they don't complete it. Right. Some people they just don't do it. The ones that do it the fastest and get it back to us are usually the ones that are more serious.
So what do you think is holding people back from completing that list? Is it just not carefully reading everything that's that's in front of them, or just complacency?
Complacency. They realize it's not going to be as easy as they thought it would. The
Okay.
school.
You mean I can't show up and just start cutting hair that day?
I can't just give my hours even if I'm not there. No, you can't.
Right. Because there's a process. Because for colleges, it's semesters. For our
It's time.
time and hours.
Time and hours.
Mhm.
So every second you're there matters.
Which gives you a little bit of flexibility in that.
Yep.
That is definitely something I learned coming into, working at the academy and stuff like that. Is that it is the hours referred to as instead of the semesters. But doing the hours does give you a little bit of flexibility because you can come in, do your hours, and the next day you're sick. You're not going to be missing a class. You're going to be missing hours, which you can then make up. So it's not going to put you as far behind. You were given the reference material to then learn and stuff like that. So
That right
Yes.
there's good information. I didn't think of it on that perspective.
yeah.
Yeah, because if you ruin, because in a school-based platform where you're doing like credits, if you go through a whole semester and you fail those credit hours, then you have to restart all those credit hours, and you have to take the whole class over again, even if you retain the material.
So talk about that catching up the hours.
Yep. So mindset towards that though, because of the leniency of it, some people take advantage of it,
Mhm.
right? And you'll get some people that'll miss so many hours consecutively that their entire chapters behind the class they started with. And the instructor's not going to go back and reteach a class just because you missed it.
Right.
So now you have to learn it on your own. You have to test on your own, and you have to catch up to your class, or you're going to have more time in school. And what happens is you have a certain amount of hours that's paid for with your program, and if it takes you more than a certain threshold to finish your program, now you're paying out of pocket. So what we tell students is be very mindful. Yes, it is a clock program. Yes, you do have a certain amount of hours, but be mindful of it because in the end, if you abuse it, you'll pay.
So and that's great information. And going to the next level is now you're in school, you're enrolled, and because it's accredited school, you have opportunity to take out loans. Do you recommend students take out loans, and what they should think about? What should they think about before they take out a loan?
Don't take out a loan to go buy stuff. Don't take out more than you need to go buy live a luck. Most people, let's say the school costs 15,000, they'll take out 22,000 and try to, splurge the extra 7. Right? Take out what you need, go to school, because in the end, you still have to pay that back.
But Byron, I can't cut hair without the new J's on, man. You know what I'm saying? I got the new J's, and I gotta have the clipper. They say got the new clippers that just came out.
Man.
I can't go get the new clippers.
The ones you have last week ain't good enough.
No, man, I just gotta get the new ones.
You have adults that come in that have children, that a single mom,
Sure.
she can't work. So
Yep.
those kind of people that say, hey, I want to take out a loan, I'm more willing to say, okay, let's sit down and talk about this because this helps her get through, feed her children.
That's gold.
But those that come in and say, well, I wanted to, I want to go shopping,
Right.
So there's a fine line there.
So sometimes you need that like financial cushion to help give you, just to have that little extra bit to have like a fallback in case something goes.
Some of our students come and they can't
Give it to
even buy gas. They live in Johnson City or they live wherever. And
Well, Dana, what you're saying is important information, and that's why Byron's giving you that because that right there is important. I didn't think of it that way.
No, it'd be easier if you, but you're speaking to some people that really would value this, and and the one thing about being a barber and going through this is we all went through the struggle to get here, and we had to make those sacrifices and do without when we had to. And a lot of people like myself, I had children, and I had a family, and I had a career, I had retirement, I had vacation time, and I gave all that up, making, I honestly feel like I might have paid more twice as much of what school might have cost me because I literally gave up a career for it. So, I went from making $30-some thousand a year to making nothing. So I know for at least that first year.
Well, explain that because you're talking about, it, but you're not explaining what you did.
So I worked in corrections. I worked for the state of Virginia Department of Corrections. I worked there for about 4 years. If I worked there one more year, I would have been fully invested and that money would have been tied to my retirement. But I felt like I was there for too long, and that if I didn't leave then, I would have never left. So, I had vacation time, I had sick time, I had a salary job, and my father, didn't agree with me leaving, but I felt like it was time for me to go. So I did the apprenticeship, and some apprenticeships require you to pay. I wasn't required to pay, and I worked in a shop, and I had to get 2,000 credit hours in a shop, which is a lot.
Because it'll take you about what? How long?
It took me about a year, a little. It probably it takes longer than a year, a little over a year, probably closer to a year and a half. Because of COVID is what took me that long, because I wasn't allowed to get hours when I wasn't in a shop.
I wonder how much typically they charge for the apprentice.
I'm not sure. I think it varies. I think actually they're supposed to pay. They pay you for the apprenticeship, and then you're supposed to pay an hourly wage in Virginia. You're supposed to pay them whatever minimum wage is
Okay.
as they cut. They're not supposed to, and they keep tip whatever you negotiate. Mine, I'm not going to speak about it. It wasn't structured the best, but I did it. And anyways, I'd say before I actually got to where I was making money, was probably about a year. It took me about a year before I was consistently, and even then, it wasn't. It was still drops in a bucket compared to what I was making in my salary job. So it was a real sacrifice for me to
Investment.
investment.
Huge.
That's we don't use the S word.
Huge.
Investment.
So just to recap, what you said, what Dana said is, if you're going to take out extra loans, be sure it is responsible. Be sure to consult with someone that understands it. Don't take out extra money just for comfort and for splurging. Take it out if you need it, because you will have to pay it back. Is that?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand too that default rate doesn't just affect them; it affects the school. If these people that take out loans and that really don't need it, and then they decide they don't want to pay it back, it comes back on the school.
Does it increase interest rates for future loans that students might inquire into?
For our school,
Potentially.
Yeah, if you were getting the loan out for the school, like
Because
it can hurt the school.
because after you graduate, you have about 6 months to start paying your loan back.
On
Am I
the
correct?
subsidized.
Okay, and then on the other part,
They all take effect immediately.
okay,
When you graduate, you'll start getting your bills.
Mhm.
The sub loan, you have 6 months, no interest.
okay,
And so you can, kind
knock it out.
Yes.
Mhm.
But you do have to pay back immediately. You'll start getting the letters from the loan department to pay them back.
and if you do
Based on
things right in this industry, you get a job, you out there. Typically, tuitions I've seen in schools anywhere from $12,000 to $22,000. If you do things right, you should be able to make your payments timely and on time, and knock that out within less than maybe 2 years. I'm thinking.
Compared
So-
to people paying student loans back for the rest of their lives.
Right. And the key thing too, like you said, Dana, you should seek your financial aid counselor or someone in the school, whether it be the compliance officer or someone who's working around that, for some counseling. Because you can't just go in there and roguely just take it out, because there's responsibility to that. And the podcast today is to let students understand and realize, hey, you have a responsibility to pay that back. So don't just go in and just go in the candy jar and just take as much as you can, because there is repercussions for the school and the student.
I think about like well, I learned that lesson early, because when I was in high school, I decided I was going to take a college class in high school, and I messed around and didn't pay attention to the class and ended up failing it. Well, when I entered into community college, I started off in the negative because I had already gotten an F, so I had to dig out of an early hole before I even got started.
And it's not just for another school, but if you want to get a house, if you want to get a car, all those stuff will affect you.
And I think a lot of this goes back to the mindset of what we were talking about earlier. Like, what do you come in? What kind of mindset do you have when you come into the school? Like,
Right.
So come in with the mindset that, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm passionate about this. I'm going to do my hours and be done with it. Why slack around? Why wait around? But just get it done.
I
and
ask
go
myself
for it,
that
you know what
question
I
all
mean?
the time.
Get it done and go for it.
Yeah, you're right,
And
man.
So, and there's a lot of more so younger students that I've noticed since I've been there that come in and just kind of they're just not ready, man. They're just not ready.
They hang it out.
Yeah, and it's going to affect them in the future.
I feel like some people just look at it like, oh, I can tell people I'm trying to do something positive.
Yeah.
Not that they even committed to it, but like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm in barber school. But how are you acting in barber school?
Well, I think also, which is a great point, before you even get into that setting, I mean, I think you should have counseling with several people in your family, your friends, and talk to them about your financial situation and get some sound advice. Some sound advice as what to do if I'm going to accredited school, some sound advice of what to do if I'm going to school that's not accredited. Because with the financial responsibility, you don't want to tie yourself up, Because what end up happening sometimes, like some students start and they bit off more than they can chew, and they don't realize that, oh, I'm in a, I'm like a deer in some headlights. What do I do?
That's the worst.
Yep.
Don't commit to a plan you can't commit to.
But that's from not properly speaking to people, your family members, your spouse, your kids, someone, a counselor, someone in the school, someone that you trust,
Yeah.
and put everything on the table. Put everything on the table before you even go to the financial aid advisor at any school. Put everything on the table before you come to a compliance officer, because there's rules that has to be met. Put everything on the table before you come to make a decision that could adversely affect your life.
And every day, I mean, people make these mistakes that put them behind in life, and that's why people, they have these big credit industries and stuff that get paid for what they do. But and it's hard to teach somebody. And I was that person. I took for granted the outlook of like future endeavors, things that I've done in the past, and how it compared to the future. But thankfully, I learned hard lessons early that helped me teach that. But if you listen to this podcast, make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's before you do this, even if you're 17, 18 years old.
Because typically with Pell Grants, how much do you get on Pell Grants? You get like about,
Depends on the person, on
okay.
what they've taken up before,
Mm.
things like that. I would say this, just building on what you said, Matt. If you're gonna do it, commit to doing it. Don't make it a hobby. If we were to look throughout all of our metrics, may it be times, attendance, tardies, grades, infractions, which are disciplinary actions, typically the same names are at the top of all those lists.
Right.
Which means that it's not a ability thing; it's a mindset thing.
Right.
It's people that didn't come in with the right mindset. That's what it's all about. It's not impossible to do. You just have to want to do it.
I think what happens, especially because of the podcast, a lot of people hear Craig and they want to do what Craig did. Well, that's Craig's passion.
Right.
So
Key.
what you can do is, if Barber is not your passion or cosmetology is not your passion, find out what is and take the steps that Craig did, but in a different avenue. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
I mean, he's a great role model. He gets people excited about barbering, but you can still follow in his footsteps in what your passion is. But we have a lot of kids that come because they hear Craig and they're, I want to be like Craig. Well, you're not made to be like Craig. So you find your passion. And when we get kids, I can think of 3 guys right now that barbering is their passion.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that's obvious.
And one of them has a son and 2 more twins on the way, and he works his hiney off because it's his passion.
He has skin in the game. He's invested in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one thing I read in the book, a different book, this I can't forget the author, but in the book he was saying how hard work is important in building the career for your life, but it shouldn't be the main thing. You should find out what you want to work hard for. You shouldn't waste you shouldn't waste effort in life, not and hard work without knowing what you want to do.
How do you prioritize it? I mean, from your experience, Matt, coming in from the outside looking in, what do you see? What's the best form of action for students to attack this?
Well, I mean, going back to just a little backstory of how I know you and stuff, and seeing where you've come from, and Dana saying stuff about wanting people not wanting to apply themselves as much, or and then wanting to be you. You've worked a lot. You've worked hard. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you've covered that, in your podcast before, but you've come a long ways from the barber shop to, I remember, you used to tell me back in the day I was going to be one of your first barbers because I've always, been interested in the industry and stuff like that. But that's the thing. I mean, people don't see the the work you got to put in behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? That where you came from and how far you've succeeded. So
I want to add on to that real quick, if it's okay. I'm all about passion, but I can guarantee you, Craig, that it took more than passion. It also took discipline,
Of course.
right? Because you could be passionate about something one morning, but the night you don't feel like doing what it takes to make it happen, right? We all get tired. We all have situations. We all get approached with life. Things happen in life that take your time and your focus. It's the discipline to make the times for the things that you said you wanted. A lot of people can start something. Not a lot of people can finish, right? It's the willingness to finish. It's the discipline in my opinion, to do what you said you would do.
Byron, you get a podcast? You need a podcast. You need to talk to Lathan before you leave.
So what would you add to that, Mackenzie?
Um, just kind of thinking about like how you guys are talking and calling it barber and stuff like that. Just we offer multiple different courses and stuff like that, estheticians, manicuring and stuff like that. So it is something that a lot of diverse people can get into, not just people who want to cut hair and stuff like that. It is something me coming into the academy, I didn't know. I thought that it was just going to be barbering and stuff like that. But we offer multiple courses. So if it's something that you guys are into, do the nails and stuff like that, we have amazing courses, amazing instructors and stuff like that as well. Just kind of keep thinking about that because you guys keep saying barber, and I'm like, yeah, like
In all those programs, you are able to get financial aid.
every single one of them. Yep.
Mhm.
What's your point you trying to get across, Dana?
No, I think what Byron said was wonderful. Passion is one thing, discipline is another. And I personally believe that God created each one of us for something.
Right.
And we need to step back and say, what have you created me for? And when you know that and you take those steps forward, and it is going to be hard. It is going to be, not easy. But I think when you do that, you will become disciplined and you will want to move forward.
100%.
I mean, it's important because I know a lot of students, this industry is taking off. This industry has a growth rate, I think 22% for the next 10, 15 years. A lot of barbers are retiring. There are more people who are taking self-care. It's a 28 to $30 billion industry a year. So there's something for everyone. And I think most people see the big picture, like you alluded to, and don't see the footstep to get to that big picture, the discipline to get to that big picture, and understanding that, hey, the best form of action is you get excited, you want to rush into it, but speak to someone. Speak to someone on your level, around you, your parents, and get some counseling before you get to financial aid officer, because it is a responsibility. It is a responsibility. It is a responsibility if you go into a school that's not accredited like the other school in Johnson City. I mean, you have a financial obligation.
Mhm.
You have to think about how you're going to project, how you're going to get through to this financial obligation to help you succeed, because that could be a strain where financial aid, it gives you that little cushion to be like, okay, school is being paid for. Go ahead, Byron.
After you're done,
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
man, just you opened up a can of worms there that we have to deal with all the time. Once that clock starts ticking, it's ticking. Once you accept those loans and once you start in school and you accept that schedule that you're on, if you decide at any point you want to unenroll, now you're getting into all the money that financial aid send. They're taking back. The school, they're only going to pay for the amount of school you completed. However, the contractual agreement that you signed stated that once you start, you have to pay for X amount of school. So once you unenroll from school and you withdraw, now you owe money, and now you got all kinds of skin in the game.
Man.
Once you start, make sure you can finish.
Because it's important to think that's a great point, because most people, they, like you say, make sure it's something that you want to do. Don't do it because your cousin's doing it or your uncle's doing it, your mother did it. Make sure it's some type of something that you love, you're passionate about it, because what ends up happening, you will start, you'll take a leave of absence, you will you might try to, it might be overwhelming, and it's an acquired skill. So it's something
Clock
that you
is
have to
ticking.
learn. That clock is ticking, and if you get in there and you don't want to do a roller set, that's part of your transformation to be a master barber. And I had some students say, "Oh, this is difficult." If it was easy, everyone would do it. But that's the skill you're acquiring to be in a position to for success.
And this is such a good podcast. I'm happy I'm here. And even if you're in school right now and you feel like you're not that passionate about it, like hearing us speak about it, like I know I'm passionate about it. God knows Craig's passionate about it. Like even if you don't, just finish it, get it done. Important life skills that you could learn just from doing it, and it's probably the cheapest education you could ever get. I mean, in the long term, you could save your family money just by cutting their hair. Like a lot of your family. So, I mean, if you don't know now, and for me, when I first started, I didn't know I would be as passionate about it as I am now. It kind of looked like a job to me, but now that knowing what I know now, man, it's just amazing. So.
But also use your resources. Your resources are your instructors, people in behind the scene that you don't see them, but they know what's going on within the infrastructure of the building. Matt, Byron, Dana, Mackenzie. I think you can have a counseling session with each one of those people in your area of field, whether it be cosmetology, nails, aesthetics. Go and talk to someone and take your time and think about the decision you're getting ready to make.
And the people at the school, especially the people in this room, have seen a lot of scenarios. Even Matt McKenzie, just for being there in the situations that they've been in, they've seen a lot of different scenarios. So their opinion can be helpful to you. I mean, everybody's. So just communicate. So let us know what's going on. So
So think
Said
of
this to me a while. It's been a while ago. Success is getting paid to do what you love to do.
Go.
yeah, yeah. I've been doing that for a while.
success is getting paid to do what you love to do.
I mean, because when I tell people, like I tell students all the time, I haven't had a bad day going to work since 2000. I've never woken up and been like, oh, I don't want to go to work today. And they're like, how, Craig? I'm like, I mean, I love seeing the students develop. I love being around the staff, working on the students to develop. I love talking about the industry. Everything I do in my daily life is for every day is something about the industry. The podcast is on Monday. We get together, we talk about it. We do the Confess Project where we go and talk about healing men,
mental health. That's
mental
mental health
health.
month awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything we set ourselves up to do something that we love, and that's what makes it so good. And just by talking to people, because every step I've taken along the way, I've talked to someone and I've taken it in, even to the point when I was about 14 years of age, and it's like, this is what you need to do to be in a business. You need to be in a business with something that you like and that you're good at. I'm like, what am I good at? Man, I like hair. So I'm thinking about this when I'm 12, 13 years old, and I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. Let me think about this. Okay, let me go to the barber shop, get my hair cut, watch the barber cut my hair, and watch everything he does and duplicate it on myself. And you know what? It came out okay. And there's the same principles that I teach right now.
Did you take a picture? Is there a Polaroid somewhere at your first cut?
I mean, I was just so nervous, and I didn't want to tell my stealing his secret. You know, I didn't want to tell him, yo, this is the last time you're gonna see me in a barber chair. You know what I mean? So if you tell someone that, they probably want to cut you properly. They probably want to give you their best haircut. Like, you coming back. I'm not showing you my techniques. But
And I know this is about financial aid, but I want to say this, and I think you will back me up on this, and Matt and Crown Cuts Academy Bristol, you're a family.
Huge.
And I will tell you, you can get all the financial aid anywhere you want, but you're not going to come to this that doesn't have a heart for you.
Come on.
And we want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
And we're going to advise you on what to take out, what not to take out. And then we have instructors who I have seen some of the students have trouble taking tests. I've seen instructors take them aside on their own time and help them to be able to pass their exams, help them to be able to pass their exits. So you go to any school and take out as many loans as you want, but I'm going to say our school, we are a family and we want everyone to succeed.
Huge.
And that comes from the heart of our owner.
He has to do that.
He loves the students.
Dana, this is content, and we got to hear you say it on it, because we're in Switzerland, somebody in Germany,
That came in the heart.
somebody in China, they need to hear
I think
that.
Just-
Lathan, did they hear? Could you fix it where they could? All right, great. Thank you
If I
again.
can build on that, Craig, anyone that you have listening that wants to start a school, that's looking to grow a school, and one thing that we've found, especially if it be instructors, if it be people that in the office, it doesn't really matter, even students, it doesn't even really matter how good you are at what you do. It's what's your attitude towards learning? What's your attitude towards teamwork? Can we work together?
Everything.
Because if you have a poor attitude, it doesn't matter how good you are. The school won't function right. The environment won't function. When there's a bad environment, nothing works.
Right. There it is. I think so
His
wholeheartedly.
passion. Yes, he wants our school to grow, and to expand, but his passion are his students, and that is where his heart is, and that's why his school will succeed.
So knowing what you know and what we're talking about, how do you choose a school, Matt? By tuition? How do you choose a school with financial aid? How do you choose a school? And we can chime in.
Sure. If I was going to go to school in this industry, for me, look for a school where the people that graduate are successful, the owners are passionate about what they're doing. It's not just a number, and the environment is right. If it's just me, you can learn to cut hair anywhere. But
Right.
what am I going to be learning? How active is that school in the community? Is there potential networking events? How connected is the owner? How invested are the employees? Because I want to go to a place that when I leave there, I can leave with more than if I went somewhere else.
Right. I'd agree with that one.
Your net worth increases your net worth.
Huge. Huge. If I could throw something else out there, Greg, I know we talked a bit about earlier, people being passionate and all that. If you're in the middle of school right now, bar school, hair school, nail school, regular school, and you may
Aesthetics.
not be aesthetics, you may not be as passionate about it, but you're in the middle of it right now. My suggestion and my humble opinion is do not quit. Finish what you started. Yeah, you may not be passionate about it right now, but there's something in the spirit of every human being that wants to finish what they start. And every time you quit something, a part of you dies. My opinion. You
Yes.
lose belief in yourself. You lose the ability to see yourself being successful because you don't finish anything.
Weaken your resolve.
Weaken your resolve, and especially if you have kids watching you, finish what you start.
Well, one of the things I want to touch on before we leave of absence. When you hear that, what comes to mind? And how could we? Because students need to hear this.
Yeah. Typically, when students need a leave of absence, that's the first red flag that they might not make it. They're looking for a way out. They're looking for, I got a quote from Kobe Bryant, and it changed my life. Rest at the end, not in the middle.
Mm.
Right? Whenever people look for constant breaks, chances are they're resolving there.
Right.
Like a relationship when you say we need a break.
Yeah, that ain't working. How about you break away from me?
What do you think, man? You have anything to elaborate on that about the leave of absence?
Yeah, Kobe Bryant quote.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if I could follow up with that one, but let me see if I got something from Michael.
Michael and Pippen going at it right now, so I don't know, man.
I heard about that.
Michael loses some credibility. Pippen saying coming out with his own book.
His shoes still gonna be $300 a pop. It don't matter.
So, what do you think, Dana? Leave of absence. I know you can elaborate on that too as well.
I think there are different situations. We have a student right now whose mother has cancer.
That's
And
different.
she
Yep.
has to take chemo. That's completely different. But whenever a student say, I'm just tired, I need a break, it ain't gonna happen.
Bad sign.
The Navy. Oh, go ahead.
No,
I was gonna say the Navy SEALs, they have a rule of 7, and the rule: whenever you're tired and exhausted and feel like you can't go on, you can go 7 times harder, 7 times longer. So,
and we have students that they work all night. Get off. I have one student right now thinking about. I'm the first one usually to get to the school. Their car is in the parking lot because they got off at 2 or 3 in the morning, and they're sleeping in their car till our school opens at 8:30.
man,
That's why we don't take every excuse when someone's late. If someone's willing to work all night, get off early in the morning, sleep in their car, you're late because of what? The next person, we can't accept that.
So invest in yourself, because in as little as how many months will it take once you go through full time and part time to knock this out? How long will it take to go full time if you're in the accredited program to finish your course?
Full time. I mean, depends on the program. Yeah,
like 11 months or something like
about
that.
11 months. If you go full time, if you go part time, it might be 3 years because it's a lot less hours a week. It's an hour based program.
And esthetician.
Same thing. So aesthetics. Right now, we only offer a full time aesthetics program. If you're hearing this podcast and you live within 45 minutes of Bristol, Virginia, and you're skilled in aesthetics, potentially we may have an opportunity for you. Potentially you have to qualify for the mold we're building.
And then nails, same thing about 44.
No, nails is a 600-hour program, and it ends up being maybe 6 months.
About 6 months.
Right.
That's full time.
So one of the key things that I get from what you guys are saying, if there's a stat out there for people who wants to be successful and invested in the cosmetology industry. The cosmetology industry is barber, cosmetologist, nails, aesthetics, massage, whatever. If there's a constant thread for people to be successful in this business, but most of the times they will come full time and knock it out.
Man, we got some part-time people that don't miss a beat though.
Mhm.
But here's the thing: they're part-time because they're working a full-time career, and they get off and they show up. Not part-time because, oh, what's the least amount I could do a week? That's
Right.
different. You know, it's usually you could tell by a person's application and orientation pretty much how they're gonna do in the program.
So invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. If you're gonna do it, do it.
And that's similar to even you go into a program that's non accredited. You have to be committed. You have to be investing in yourself. Because what I realize, most people who give the most problems are people who are late, people who their attendance is shoddy. They're the ones who kind of want to give them the most problems, and it's not their fault, but it's the administration fault.
Yeah, never take responsibility.
Looking for the easy way out is a habit. You'll do it in everything.
Right. So, what kind of advice would you tell someone looking to come into this industry when they're trying to choose between they have to go to somewhere where they'll get financial aid, or they have to go somewhere where it's accessible but they have to make payments?
I would say let's figure out what suits you the best. You said get some counsel, right? Get counsel, figure out which route suits you best. Get a very clear expectation of the price you'll have to pay, not just financially, time, emotionally. What am I going to have to invest out of myself to make this happen? Come to a conclusion with that and commit to it before you start. That's what I would suggest is wait. You'll know if you'll finish or not when you start. Some
Mm.
people go in and we'll see how it goes, and I'm gonna give it a shot. Giving it a shot ain't gonna work.
So this is, we throw quotes on it all the time, Byron. So this is one of my favorite quotes, and it's in a song. It's called "First Song" by Jay-Z. It says, "Make your first like your last." So you come in that first day into the program like an intern. Make your first day like your last, and make your last day like your first, and make that your everything. So the whole time you on needles, thinking that, man, I have to give my best. I have to give my best. And the last day, he's like, I have to give my best. I have to give my best. So when you leave, you have to come in like the first day when you're leaving. Make your first like your last, and make your last like your first, and make that your everything.
Come on. If you're a believer out there, like I am, let's do everything unto the Lord, man.
So what would you give, knowing the industry like you know coming in right now, Matt? What would you say to someone coming into the industry? Because I know you're right above Department of Education, then NACIS, and that's your position where you have to deal with so much stuff. Because I don't think students understand the responsibility that keeps them eligible to go to school. I don't think students understand it, but we'll talk about that in a second. What do you think, Matt?
Repeat the question one more time.
What would you say to a student coming in?
Okay.
What advice could you give to a
So
student?
if they were coming to me for advice,
Yeah.
I would just
Get
tell
ready
them,
because it's gonna happen.
yeah, we'll let them know that, hey, listen, be here, be ready to go, stay focused. If this is what you want, then do it. If it's not, if you're not fully invested, get out. You know what I mean? It's pretty much that simple.
Be-
It's
because you can't come because your friend wanted to go to school and it's cool and they looking cool. They posting pictures and they have everybody giving them all these likes. It's not about the likes.
and I think that's another thing too. A lot of people will see, they look and they see like on Instagram, they see on social media, oh man, that's cool, and they just think that they can just go to school for a little bit and then be able to come out and be able to do those things. That's like a few, quite a few of the students went to a show that they just had a hair show down in Knoxville, and a lot of them came back real humble. You know what I mean? That it really humbled, and it also motivated the ones that were already motivated. Really, I mean, but you got to think about those things. You're not going to just be able to go in here and learn a few things and do some hair like some of these guys out here do a fade in 15 minutes. It takes time.
Just kind of coming from our perspective as being in the office and stuff like that, we are looking for people are going to come in and be successful. We need our students to graduate. We need them to be successful so we as a school can be successful. So we need students to come in and give their all and do their best and stuff like that. So that's who we're going to look for. That's when you come in and ask us, what should I do? We're going to give you that advice. We need you to do these things so that we can, as a team, can be successful.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because you come in, you join the family. I mean, you represent our school inside and out.
Exactly.
Even when you leave there, that's where you went to school. That's where you got your
Mhm.
accreditation from. So it's big that that you do your job and you do do it well. Do what you set your goal to do.
So let's talk about the infractions and the rules, because I think that's a totally different dimension that people understand.
Fractions and rules. That's always the most interesting part of the job. Typically, it's never an easy time, right? Because it's reprimanding. It's someone did something that needs to be addressed, and a lot of the times, each school has their own rules. We have a specific infraction policy,
And what do you think the rules are for at a school?
so the business can run smoothly. Any places if there's not rules, is chaos.
Because most students think it's just, oh, you got something against me.
No, not
I'm
at
just
all.
here to cut hair. You just got something against me.
I had a situation happen in the school the other day where I had a haircut and asked one of the barbers to do a haircut, and they said I can't do that. I said, "What do you mean you can't do it? I can't do it. I can't cut a kid's hair." Well, this kid's 12 years old. He drove here. You know what I'm saying? Like he should be fine. And when you're a barber, when you first start, children are who you get first. And this person, I told him, I was like, listen, I need you to do this haircut. And they refused. And I'm like, you're refusing this haircut. And I didn't know how to handle it because I I spoke with Miss Dale and she said, who was it? They need to go home if they don't want to cut hair. And she's been in doing it for a longer time than I have. But for me, it hurt a little more to have to discipline somebody. So I kind of let it slide and still had a conversation with them later. But I didn't know how to discipline.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? It was tough for me to do that part because I'm trying to be the instructor and encourage and want the best for them. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I just want to see the best for all, and I don't want to do anything to discourage any of the students, including discipline them, even though when they're clearly wrong and there's no excuse for them not. If you're not going to be here to cut hair, why are you here?
Right. I can add on to that.
Please do, because I'm asking the question because
Sure.
because I know y'all have to deal with stuff on a daily basis, even more life involving than just hey, go home for the day.
Right. It takes intuition, right? We do have rules in place, and that rules are our framework, and it's a guideline that we follow. And our main goal is to be fair for every student. We can't reprimand one student over here and then allow you to slide with it. However, in unique circumstances, there is a rule where if you decline the service, you have to go home. It was a circumstance where this specific situation made a student sick, right? And we had an issue with parenting and things like that. And we have to be mindful of that. Yes, the rule is this. However, we have to be mindful of people's
At
health.
times you have to curb it.
Right. And that takes, like you said, intuition and trying to figure out, okay, in this specific situation, these are the rules, but let me try to see what's happening.
And that's what I tried to try to have a conversation with this person. And hindsight 2020, I should have sent the person home. but I honestly, I really felt I don't want to do anything that might damper a person's feelings towards the school or coming to school.
I mean, well, that's where when you're passion, you should never turn on a haircut. If it's something that you want to do, you should never turn on a haircut.
And that's how I feel. And that's what made me more upset was because I didn't get to cut. I cut children all the time when I started. Like they would literally use their children as test dummies. Like that, cutting a screaming child. And when this is a 12-year-old, I mean, like I said, he was a grown. He was old enough to know to sit there and sit still, which he did. So I mean, I just feel like there wasn't an excuse for not taking the haircut. But like I said, I just want to see everybody succeed. And it was just kind of unbecoming of me to see this person deny something that they're here for. What are you here for then? You're just hanging out.
Well, there's one thing too. There's nothing that's 100%. I mean, we would like to say in the industry with the school, we want 100% of students to just be gun ho, just like, hey, I want to do this every day. But realistically, that's the 20 rule. It might be 90, and it might be 60-40. But wherever that balance comes in, there's going to be some people who just, like you guys alluded to earlier, oh, I saw Craig doing happy, he's smiling, so I want to do it too. But it's more than that. It takes some investment, some encouragement, some counseling, some strategic planning to make this work for you. Because ultimately, our job is to help you succeed, but you have to have it to make it work for you too as well.
And when you're passionate, it's like the students don't understand that when they don't give their all or they do things that get them in trouble, how much it hurts the people that are actually there for them. And how passionate, when passionate people are actually passionate, like everybody in this room, it hurts them to see you not do well, and they want to see you do well.
Because I don't think there's I can't speak for every school out there, every administrator, but I don't think there's not too many people who in this profession who don't want to see you succeed. Why would they want you to stay in that school more or longer than you need to? What they get out of that? I mean, who wants you? You already have a financial obligation, but who wants you to just go and just pay some extra? Have extra what you call it, extra cash because
It's not worth it.
it's
You
not
will
worth it.
make more putting a new student in that
Yeah.
seat than you paying $10 an hour.
I mean, but some students, their definition, and they think that, oh, you want to keep me in school, you don't want to get me my hours. I'm like, what do?
Somebody with that kind of attitude, it's always someone else's fault. They're not going to go very far in life, even if they're not.
What do you get of holding someone's hours? What do you get of not?
Nothing to gain out of that.
What do you get? You know, what? I mean, and especially you are a turd. You know, what do you get of being a turd and somebody keeping your hours?
We
Why would
want
they?
to get you out of here, man. You're creating a bad environment.
Yeah,
Graduate, please.
yeah,
Wasting so many people's time,
yeah.
being a disruption and stuff. I mean, we see that from time to time too. And
Yeah, it's annoying.
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, why you want to be a disruption whenever you got a job to do? Don't be smart about it. Let's just get it done, do your job, and then move on to the next.
Because this industry is so wonderful. It's a $30 billion industry yearly. It's enough to have a good paycheck, a good salary if you do it the right way. And who would want to keep you in longer than you need to?
And I just went and spoke to an investor, and he showed us the it was 790 rule or something like that, where like how much you can invest in time, and he showed us this little bit amount of money and how it could grow to be millions of dollars. You're just holding yourself back from investing in yourself by spending more time. You know, you're never going to get that time back, and that's one thing that's interesting about the time-based program. It's like that's literally your life. Like, how much of your life are you actually wasting being here when you could be done and going on to other endeavors?
So we'll go around the room, and what kind of advice can you tell someone who's wanting to go to school and want to be the most successful at it? What can you tell them to how to stay on track? What should they do? What should they look for? In your own words, what do you think, Matt? How can they be the most successful student to achieve the most of what they go into? What should they look for?
I mean, like I said, and I've said it repeatedly. Just make sure you're willing to do that. Be willing to be there. Willing to listen to your peers around you. Willing to listen to your instructors. Do what's asked of you. And I feel like there's many people that make excuses,
Right.
but the excuses they make are just they're not excuses that you can, you know what I'm saying, take into accountability whenever you have people that really have things going on. You know what I mean? There's leeway, and you know um, there's things that do happen, and there are people. Everybody has a personal life, and there's things going on in their personal life. But you know, and there's times we can overlook that. But then there's times whenever it's just a person just being lazy, and if they don't want to be there, then don't be there.
And that's just for both schools, accredited schools or pay as you go school. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
commitment that you have to do on your own. What do you think, Kenzie? What do you say?
Well, I'm a mother, so coming from the perspective of a mother, we have a lot of people in our school that have families, have young ones, and stuff like that. So understanding that not only are you investing in yourself by doing this program, by going through with it, by graduating and doing your best, you're also investing in your family and your future and stuff like that. So understanding that you're not just doing it to get it done to do something. You're investing in your future. You're investing in yourself. So, yeah.
What do you think, Emma?
Be humbled or you will be humbled. I think that's the most important thing. I said, if you come in humble and ready to be hardworking, you're going to get things done. You're going to get it done in a timely manner and come out with as minimum debt or negative anything as you can. But if you come in and you got it all figured out from day one, those kind of people are not successful in this industry.
Because this industry is so wonderful. You can make so many contacts. And a lot of people, before I come to you, a lot of people think they're just coming to school just to cut hair. But the things that you get at school that you can't even, that you don't even think about, the friendships that you make, the connections that you can build, the relationship that you're fostering, those things are added benefits too when you go into school that people just kind of push it. But those things are important as well.
Huge, huge. I'll toss it back to something that you always say in orientation. Yeah, you always say it right after the make your first day like your last, make your last like your first, make it your everything. What you say is get excited about the process. Right? It's very easy to, oh, I want to do this. I can think of a barber specifically, and I would use his name, but I'm not going to. That earlier on he would
John Doe.
he would get frustrated, right? He would, man, my haircuts doesn't look like this guy's, and man, I want to do it like this, and man, I wanted to do it like this. And one thing you kept preaching to him was, dude, just get excited about the process. Get excited about learning. Make every day, you know, a day of adventure. And what happened is, to this day now, number one, he's one of the most enthusiastic people we have. He's one of the most skillful barbers there. Now he's about to graduate soon. We actually saw him today, and he's going to be good in the industry. Why? Because he learned early on to be excited about the process, the day to day learning,
Right.
and that's not just barbering. That's anything you to do.
And I was going to say, one of the key things that I know Kenzie reminded us, I know you guys talking about barbering, but there's also women in there too. There's aesthetics, there's nails, there's so we got to give them love too and show them that it's the same process for the nail technicians. It's the same process for the estheticians.
It's a process for anything in life.
Yeah, estheticians that get excited about the daily. I could think of one that was afraid to look at a client.
Mhm.
Now they're starting to do services and gain that self image, that self belief. And I'll say something, man. When you see that come alive in a person, you see someone come in and they can't do something, and then they get excited about the fact that they know they can do it. That does something for us, right? And we get excited about it. That's why we're passionate about it and all that, because it means something, man. You watch someone turn something that wasn't into something.
And I know, Dana, you sitting there, you've ingested all of this. And I know you have so much wisdom and so much to talk about. But what do you want to tell students from the heart, this wholeheartedly, before they come into a program?
Well, just kind of what I said earlier is, I truly believe that God formed each one of us and that He has something for each one of us to do. And we need to, each person needs to seek that out and, willing to work for that. Nothing in life is worth anything that you don't want to work for. And then given everything in your life, appreciate it.
Huge.
And it's an individual journey.
Yeah.
And understand that, hey, don't come in and expect to be the number one stylist, the number one nail tech in a week. It's a process.
I think that goes back to being the whole thing too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people come in there with the mindset that they're already something. What can I learn from you here to get my hours so I can become the barber I'm already. You gotta come in there.
They don't make it.
You can always learn. Always. I see. Hey, I've heard you say it many times. I learn something every day, and I feel like everybody's got to take that into accountability. I mean, even in our position that we're in right now, administration position, we learn something every day.
Oh my God.
I mean,
Right.
every day.
We learn multiple times a day.
So
Learned it, thought we learned it, and had to relearn it.
So great. So what do you think about the podcast? Is this first time you're in a podcast? What Matt, you been on a podcast before?
yeah, this is it's my first time obviously here,
Right.
but I
So
enjoy this. It's awesome.
What do you like about the podcast? What do you think?
I think it's I like everything about it. I like that we're all here, the family. We're all here together.
Because a lot of people come on and they get real nervous because they think they're like your studio where people are watching, and it's live. There's live people are watching, but the studio is so small, you kind of get comfortable in the conversation after a while.
Sitting at
And
the dinner table.
yeah, then it just flows because someone with something and you'll be sitting there. I know, yep, I have something to say.
Yeah.
And you'll just free flow off of that. Just piggyback and just say to your point that you're thinking because I don't have all the answers.
Question: what inspired you to be a barber? Did you were
Um,
12 when you made the decision?
yeah, it was a long time ago. I just wanted to be in an industry where I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be in an industry where I wanted to work for myself. That was me. And I couldn't think of that. I mean, I used to draw, and then I just stopped drawing.
Mhm,
I mean, I played sports, and it took me to a certain place.
mhm.
And I just wanted to love what I do and not be stressed about what I'm doing.
Was there a specific person, like you said, your barber, or
Mm.
with the day you made the decision that I want to go do that? Was it a certain day when you
I
can
think
remember?
my first haircut, I think
Mhm.
I cut my mother, and she said, and I was like, I cannot cut your hair. I do not want to cut your hair. I don't know what to do. Yeah, you're gonna be mad or mess it up. She's like, yes, you can. You can do this. So just the inspiration of her saying you can do this, and it probably was a teaching moment for her and me because I was at that age where I'm impressionable, and your parents they'll let you know if you can do something or not, and even if you can't do something, they're there to give you that boost and that motivation and be like, you can,
Bingo.
and just that inspiration right there, you can. And I remember I just cut it into afro, and it looked good to me. I don't know. I mean, if I took pictures and looked at it right now, I'm like, man. But she was happy, and I was happy, and I smiled. I was like, I can do this.
Come on.
Yeah,
But someone inspired you,
yeah.
and this time it was your mother, right? Anyone that comes on the podcast that's hearing this and that's going to be on next time, think about how many lives have changed because you took this path.
Right.
And the path was started from someone else inspiring you,
Yep.
right? So the words we speak today, or anyone else that's coming on, there might be a 12-year-old boy in Southern Alabama
Mhm.
that the inspiration you put in him leads to hundreds of changed lives.
Right.
You never know how far your word or impact will travel.
And everyone, somebody was your ripple. Somebody was my ripple. So you're gonna be someone's ripple, and
How
that's
mu-
the bottom line.
I heard someone say, Byron, how many lives hang in the balance of your obedience?
Mm.
And I never forgot it.
Mm.
Whatever you do it well.
Big, big. And what do you think, Dana? What do you could elaborate on the last? If someone is thinking about coming to school, and what would you say to them?
I don't know. I think that I was going to say this a while ago. I had a potential student call me, and I have to pull up records of where they graduated from. And this person was, you could tell they were a little embarrassed from where they were coming from.
Mhm.
And they said, maybe one day I can sit down with you and talk to you about this. And I said, you know what? I said, it's the things that happen in our life. That's our story. And our story is what makes us who we are. So I think don't ever be embarrassed by anything. Keep saying the Lord's going to teach me something. He's going to use me as a ripple effect in this story if I continue on in it.
Yeah, we personally have an instructor at our school, and she's a beautiful, beautiful person, and she's an amazing instructor. She engages with the students really well, but at one point in her life, she was in a rough spot, and she chose to venture out, and she chose to go to the school, and there is somebody who stepped up and helped take care of her to the point where she is now. Thriving on her own. And so never ever be embarrassed of who you were at one point, because you can always change. People change.
Well,
You can always be better than you were. You can always, I don't know, do better, I guess. And never.
And whatever you've gone through, it's a platform to help other people.
Testimony.
huge. Huge. We heard this past Sunday, not to make this churchy, but you can't argue with a changed life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
And so it starts also with coming into the environment and talking to your financial aid officer, talking to the people in the office and seeing what's the best form of action for you to finish a program and stick to it. Stick to it to your best of your ability. If you go into the nail portion, the massage, the aesthetics, the cosmetology, or even barbering, what is the best form of action? That'd probably be a good question. Miss Sir, what is the best form of action do you think for me to finish this program? And we will advise you. And talk to the compliance officer, financial aid. Everybody's in there who's doing something, and they'll because we've had the experience of seeing successful students. We've had the experience of seeing students who have came and didn't do so well. We've had the experience of seeing. We can tell you exactly how to mold yourself into the best student, what you need to do, what time you need to eat, what time you need to get to school, what time you need to leave, how many breaks you should take. We can advise you on all those things to make your journey through school seamless.
Huge.
Isn't a marathon runner that they know how to pace themselves?
Hmm.
And I think when we see students come in like Tasmanian Devil, we know they're gonna
Slow down.
fizzle out. But if we can show them how to pace yourself, it makes a huge difference.
Huge.
Yeah, because I think from time to time we do have students that do come in and they're wanting, they're willing to get it all done, but they overdo it. You know what I mean? A little bit.
The foundation.
Yes.
They want to get to the structure before they have the foundation.
So, and that's whenever you do get burnt out, and we do see some, sometimes students get burnt out and they leave, they're out of there. So you got to kind of look at, okay, this is going to take me 44 weeks. This is how much time I need to put in each week so I can get that. You got to have the whole plan and
Plan
then
out.
go there. Yeah.
If you plan to fail, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yeah, I got that right.
That's right. You got it.
Yep.
You didn't miss a beat.
So, what do you think the importance of this podcast today, Am? What do you think the importance of it was?
I think it was an awesome podcast, and I'm glad I got to be here with everybody and hear our passion. I didn't realize y'all. I knew what they like. I didn't know what they did, but I knew that they had to be doing it hard because I ain't never seen it. I feel guilty for even saying mentioning their names. Like every time I open the door, I'm like, I feel bad, but it's so great to hear that they're just so passionate.
Well, most students don't. I don't think they understand what it takes to make the school runs and to keep them eligible, and just the care that a lot of instructors and administrators have for them to finish the program. They just think you just come there and just look at them and just want to give them a hard time. But hey, there's a strategic way we know from experience how for you to be the most successful individual, how to go through this program seamless, how to go through this program and build relationships and enjoy your time and understand it's a process. You're not going to run the race of 1,500 hours. Just pace yourself, take your time and do it right, do it properly. Come early, leave late.
Sleep in your car.
Take it. Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
Whatever
I tell
by
you
any
what,
means.
people that don't make excuses in one area of their life, they don't make excuses in others.
at all. Excuses are the tools of incompetence, which build monuments into nothingness. And a person who practices them will be seldom be good at nothing else. Yeah, when that baton is passed to you, you can't drop it. You gotta say why you catching it, why you taking it and running with it. And there it is. Our lasting words before we close. I know we've been on this probably our longest podcast ever.
Really?
Yeah,
Breaking
it's been, but it's been good.
I felt guilty for that. I mean, yeah, they got so much information. I didn't even want to speak. I'm just listening.
I mean, yeah.
I'm writing stuff down in my mental notebook.
Oh man, we're just heading papers and computers all day.
Oh no.
We could end with another quote.
Yeah,
Inky Johnson quote. This is my favorite quote ever. We love Inky.
yeah. He went to UT.
Yes.
He got the hurt his hand.
Man, think about that. Something he was passionate about on that journey. Biggest tragedy in his life happened, and it led him down another path where I believe he impacted more. The quote from Inky Johnson I love the most is life. What is it? People don't quit because of what they do. People quit because life makes them forget why they do it.
Mm.
If we can remember why you do what you do, I believe you'll always be able to get through whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a young man actually that's a student at school. He came to me over the weekend. I known him before the school or whatever, and he just he just having some mental stuff going on. But he did come to me, and I felt great about that, and
Right.
that made me feel really good. And I let him know. I said, "Hey, man, we're here for you in any way possible." And I believe 100% that you're going to succeed because I mean he comes in there with such a positive mood, like attitude. He brings a good energy. He's funny, But at the end of the day, he's got things going on,
Right.
And I was glad he was able to come to me and speak to me about it.
And that's important to having a good team because if you don't feel comfortable with someone, there's someone else that you can talk to within that parameter that will get the word across too. all of us, and make it make sense. Because ultimately, we're in this for the students. We're in this for the students, and we want to see you succeed. So again, Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles and my co-host
In my fields.
of Crown Cuts Academy Bristol and Crown Cuts Academy JC and Craig Crown Cuts downtown Johnson City. Spreading love the Bristol and the JC way is the only way we know how to do it.
Put that Bristol first.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
CCA, baby.
But again, for our listeners, shout out to our sponsors, Colossal Brand. Shout out to Feed Spot for giving us a top 25 ranking in the United States. We're in Chicago, we're in Seattle, we're in Cali, we're in New York, Boston, Georgia, Tennessee, Minneapolis, Texas, all through the Caribbean, all through the world, in Australia, in Switzerland, in China, in Germany, in Scandinavia, and a bunch more I can't even comment. But if you have a question and you want to send us a message, check us out on IG, Crown Cuts Academy JC, Crown Cuts Academy Bristol. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook Live, Market Street Media. Send us your questions, send us your comments, send us your concerns, and we'll try to address them as quick as possible. And if you have a topic that you want us to talk about, send it to us. We'll talk about it. We still have to talk about that topic that they sent to us on
The
YouTube.
booking apps. We ain't forgot about you.
Yeah, we didn't forget about you. We coming. We're just putting a good, heavy hitting show for you, and we putting some research behind this. We have a couple that we use, a couple in mind, but we want to give a fair shot to all the others to make sure that we don't forget nothing. We didn't uncover no stones that needs to be unturned. We're gonna get to you as soon as possible. But again, thank you. We had a bombing podcast. This was Major Meat. Earn the crown today. If you didn't earn the crown today, you'll never earn the crown. There it is. Barber College Success.